Part 64. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 631. Master Shi nodded, just do your best. Yan Xianluo knew what Master Shi meant. Talent is limited. If your talent allows, you can naturally succeed in research. If your talent reaches the limit, it is impossible to succeed in research. Otherwise, why would Master Shi have regrets? The mental power ball is invisible. You can't see it, you can only feel it. You need an opportunity to get it. Everyone has different opportunities and absorbs mental power differently. Some people disappear after absorbing it once. But although I can no longer absorb the mental power ball, I can still feel that the mental power ball is still there until I am about to sink into nothingness. I think that since the mental power ball has been following me, the next destined person must be related to me. The mental power ball of the people who usually come into contact with me has no choice, which means that this destined person should not be around me. I guess it should be me. The young apprentice who was born later in the year used his spiritual consciousness to imprint on the spiritual power ball before returning to nothingness. At the same time, he used his spiritual consciousness to transform into statues and experience the stone steps of those alchemists who wanted to improve their alchemy level. The blessing of the force ball is so powerful that it can benefit alchemists who want to improve their talents within 10,000 years. Only then did Yan Xianluo realize that the statue and stone steps of Master Shi in Xianxia mountain came from this way, and they did not exist when Master Shi was still alive. I'm not entirely sure about my conjecture, but now that I've met you, I know that it's not a conjecture, it's a fact. I also understand why the mental power ball has been following me. I'm afraid there are 7 ancient powers left in the mental power ball. With a touch of spiritual consciousness, I can know where the destined person is and how to find the destined person. Although I don't know why the ancient power left this mental power ball, it must not be in vain, but it can make the spirit in the mental power ball. The power grows from your own sea of consciousness, which means that you have completely absorbed all the spiritual power. You are the first person since the existence of spiritual power. Xianluo, I am afraid that it is impossible for you to be ordinary in this life, and I am afraid that you cannot use the burden on your shoulders. Describe it in terms of severity. Yan Xianluo was a little ashamed. Could she say that she had not absorbed all the mental power in the mental power ball, and that a lot of it had been stored in the stone that could store mental power? She also said that it would be impossible for her to be ordinary in her life, and the burden on her shoulders could not be described as heavy or heavy. In fact, she really wanted to be a salted fish, and she had no great intention to save the world. But time is too precious, so she shouldn't bother Master Shi with these things, and don't let him leave without peace of mind in the end. I have a lot on my mind, but I still listen to Master Shi honestly. At first, the reason why Master Xuanhuan agreed to help me was because he had a dream before I left. Yan Xianluo raised her eyebrows. The dream dreamed by the heavenly master is a prophet or warning. She really didn't expect that Tianqi Xuanhuan helped Master Shi find a disciple because of a dream. In his dream, a woman with stunning beauty told him that helping me is helping all the people in the world, therefore, Heavenly Master Xuanhuan will spend all his lifespan to help me find my successor 10,000 years from now. Yan Xianluo was stunned for a moment. Although this reason was a bit fantasy, it was indeed something a heavenly master could do. Just like her now, she is indeed very strong with the power of the celestial master, but she is also bound by the responsibilities of the celestial master. But what does she have to do with the common people in the world? Just now she thought that she didn't have such lofty ambitions, so why is she involved with the common people in the world now? It was also because of Master Xuanhuan's dream that I guessed that my apprentice was not an ordinary person, so I thought it would be best to leave you the mental power ball. I succeeded in one try. Master, I just want to be an ordinary person and live an ordinary life, Yan Xianluo said helplessly. Master Shi looked at her lovingly and said, You have soul power in your body. You should have the talent of a heavenly master. You should also know that your destiny cannot be violated. Yan Xianglue was shocked that Master Shi actually saw that she had soul power. She asked in surprise, "How did Master see that I had soul power? If anyone with strong strength can see it, then he can't hide the fact that he is a heavenly master for long. The miraculous doctor is still in the spotlight. If it is revealed that he is a heavenly master again, I am afraid there will be countless people in the world who do not want him to live. You don't have to worry. If you don't use the power of the heavenly master to publish it in Gaoye, I can tell because I am a spiritual consciousness body now and have a very clear perception of soul power." Master Shu knew that she was worried and immediately explained. Yan Xianglue nodded, "Fortunately, now that the title of Miracle Doctor has put me on the forefront, I don't want people to know that I am a heavenly master anymore." "What, you have the title of Miracle Doctor now?" Master Shi looked at her in shock. Yan Xianglue nodded again, "I come from the lower continent, and my parents also came to the higher continent. In order to make it easier for my parents to find me, I exposed my medical skills, and I got this title." Yan Xianglue knew that he didn't have much time, so he didn't make a long speech, but simply explained the reason. Master Shi was shocked again. She actually came from a lower continent and was called a miracle doctor when she was still in her teens. "What level of alchemist are you?" Master Shi asked eagerly. "God level." Yan Xianglue spat out 2 words. Master Shi's expression suddenly froze, and then he patted his heart. "Oh my God, what kind of successor did God give me? A teenage God-level alchemist." Master Xuanhuan was indeed right, "Your talent is many times stronger than mine." Yan Xianglue said with some embarrassment, "Master, I was just lucky and came across the book you left by Master." Master Shi shook his head and said, "Master, do you know how old I was when I became a God-level alchemist?" Yan Xianglue opened her mouth and said, 116 years old. "How old are you now?" Master Shi asked again. 16 years old. After Yan Xianglue finished speaking, she raised her eyes to look at Master Shi and said, "In hindsight, looking at it this way, my talent is indeed quite good." Master Shi was speechless. Not only was it great, he had never been envious of anyone in his life, but now he finally felt the feeling of envy. "Master, we are running out of time. Do you still have any doubts?" Master Shi knew that his apprentice, who was not in a hurry, was very talented, and he was still very proud of himself. However, time was indeed running out, and he wanted to see if his apprentice had any doubts. "He can help." Yan Xianglue immediately asked what was on his mind. "Master, why didn't you and someone as powerful as Xianxia Xuanhuan go to the 9 heavens?" This is what Yan Xianglue is most confused about. She has not heard of anyone who has succeeded in going to the 9 heavens since she came to the higher continent. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 632. Yan Xianglue only realized after reading the historical records of the higher continent that it was not that no one had succeeded in ascending to the 9 heavens recently, but that no one had succeeded in more than 30,000 years. This is not normal. After all, there are not many people who successfully went to the 9 heavens recorded in historical records, but there are some in every era. Master Shi frowned when he heard her question, "Are you interested in Zhikongtian?" Yan Xianglue said matter-of-factly, "I want to go to the 9 heavens, to see the evergreen trees that bloom once every 1,000 years as long as the heaven and earth, and to see what the 9 heavens is like." Master Shi sighed, "When was the last person you know who successfully went to the 9 heavens?" Yan Xianglue thought about the last human being recorded in the historical records of the higher continent who successfully ascended to the 9 heavens, 30,000 years ago. Master Shi said clearly, "Sure enough, Master fell into nothingness 10,000 years ago. At that time, no one has been able to go to the 9th heaven for 20,000 years. Since I have fallen into nothingness for 10,000 years, no one has succeeded. That means our guess at that time was correct. Yan Xianglego asked curiously, what guess? Master Shi said solemnly, the road to the 9 heavens is blocked. Huh, Yan Xianglego was extremely surprised. Isn't the 9 heavens a place you can go to by ascending? How can it still be sealed? Who has such strong strength? If anyone can do it, it's only the strong ones from Zhongtian, right? But why should we block the road to the 9 heavens? Master, why do you think so? Yan Xianglego asked in disbelief. When I fell into nothingness, my cultivation was at the peak of transcending tribulations. I was only one chance away from ascending to the 9th heaven. People who cultivate like this will inevitably go to the 9th heaven and try to go to the 9th heaven. Only in this way can I ascend to the 9th heaven. The opportunity to ascend can only be found at the end of the road to the 9 heavens. I am no exception. When I reached my cultivation level, I set out on the road to the 9 heavens. However, there was originally a gate at the end of the 9 heavens road, which we called the heavenly gate. Tianmen did not walk over but flew over, which was also the reason for the ascension. However, when I went there, I found that Tianmen was missing. There was clouds in front of me and I couldn't get close. I didn't know if Tianmen had disappeared or was blocked by the clouds. Those who came before me know that the reason why no one has successfully ascended in the past 20,000 years is that the heavenly gate is missing. This was the first time that Yan Xianglego knew that he needed to cross the heavenly gate to go to the 9 heavens. Only then did he know that he needed to cross the heavenly gate and then knew that the heavenly gate was gone. This was the reason why no one had successfully ascended in the past 30,000 years. There was an indescribable feeling in my heart. I stayed at the end of the 9 heavens road for a whole year. People who came and went with the same cultivation level as me during the year were unable to make the heavenly gate appear. I was still young at that time, and the heavenly gate did not appear until I fell into nothingness. When Master Shi said this, he looked at Ruan Xianglego and said, we speculate that the people from Zhongtian sealed the Tianmen. With our strength, we cannot see or find the Tianmen. If you want to go to Zhongtian, you must first find the missing ones. Tianmen, but it's too difficult. Yan Xianglego's heart is also very heavy. After returning from the soul, she only has one final wish, which is to go to Zhongtian. Now Master Shi tells her that it is too difficult. You can imagine her mood. However, she will not be entangled by any difficulties. She has not passed the last level of the Pangu flower blooming cultivation technique, and her cultivation level is still far away from reaching the 9 heavens. She should take care of the present first, so as not to worry about things that have not happened yet. Worry. Thank you, Master, for clarifying my doubts, but I still want to go to the 9 heavens. When my cultivation level reaches the level, I will go to find the heavenly gate, Yuan Xianglego said. Master Shi said with approval, yes, facing difficulties and not being afraid of difficulties and obstacles is a belief in life. I have been obsessed with alchemy all my life. Because I found that there are problems that cannot be solved by elixirs, I started to study medical skills. So I have achieved some success in my medical skills and alchemy skills. Although I didn't go to the 9 heavens, I have no regrets in this life. Yan Xianglego knew from Shiyulo that Master Shi first made alchemy and then studied medical skills. Now that he heard it from his own mouth, he knew the reason why he studied medical skills, and she admired him very much. Master Shi felt that his spiritual consciousness was about to disappear and said quickly, Xianglego, Master can't help you now. I can only leave you my blessings. I hope your wishes will come true and you will get what you want. As she finished speaking, a ray of golden light fell on Yan Xianglego's body. It was warm. This feeling was very familiar. She had experienced it once before. When she got the Junzi sword, the owner of the Junzi sword gave her the blessing of God. At that time, he wished Yan Xianglego a smooth life and that she would get what she wished for. Now Master Shi has also given her God's blessing, wishing her that all her wishes will come true and that she will get what she wishes. Although there were slight differences in their blessings, they both blessed her with what she wanted. Yan Xianglou understood that after God's blessings were shed, Master Shi's spiritual consciousness would also disappear, and she would never see him again. Although they met for the first time today, they were like relatives reunited after a long absence. Yan Xianglou looked at Master Shi's gradually disillusioned figure, feeling a little panicked in her heart. She said in a choked tone, "Master, Xianglou is fortunate to have the Master's will. What I have learned will be passed on to the students. I will not discredit Master and live up to Master's expectations. Master, please rest assured." Master Shi smiled and said, "Girl, Master believes in you." Master Shi raised his hand and waved to Yan Xianglou, and his figure turned into dots of starlight and disappeared completely. Yan Xianglou's tears finally flowed down uncontrollably. Why did she have to go through so many farewells? The senior brothers from her previous life came to say goodbye to her one by one, and the Master also came to say goodbye to her by chance. She felt that she was already a very cold-hearted person, but now she found that her heart was quietly softening. Although the sad mood was very strong, it did not give her more time to be sad. Just after Master Shi's spiritual body disappeared, the space she was in also disappeared. The space that was originally transformed from Master Shi's study also turned into little stars and disappeared like Master Shi. "Xianglou, where are you going? Think about your destination. Master will send you there." Suddenly Master Shi's voice appeared again, but no spiritual consciousness appeared. Yan Xianglou's apricot eyes suddenly widened and she shouted excitedly, "Master, are you still there?" "Silly girl, this is Master's last strength. It won't last long. Go somewhere quickly." Master Shi sighed. Yan Xiang shed tears. She knew that this was Master Shi's last protection for his disciple, and he sent her directly away from the Divine Doctor Mountain. She knew without thinking that the statue and stone steps of Master Shi would disappear with the disappearance of Master Shi's spiritual body, which would surely alarm too many people. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 633. Thank you, Master, for your protection. Please send your disciple to the Ji family of the Xuanhuan family. Yan Xianglou made a decisive decision. She couldn't go near the Divine Doctor Mountain. Chi Hao had Music Xian to protect her from worries, so the first place she thought of without hesitation was where Ji Xuanhuan was. She was surprised at her choice. Why didn't you choose to go to Xuanhuan sect? Why didn't you choose to go back to Xiangyang city? Why did you open your mouth and tell where Ji Xuanhuan was? Because I care. Yan Xianglou had to admit that Ji Xuanhuan's position in her heart was not ordinary. Xuanhuan Ji's family, are you actually going to the Ji family's land? Master Shi paused. The Ji family had been exterminated for nearly 20,000 years when he was still alive. It has been 30,000 years now. Isn't his little apprentice's surname Ju? What does it have to do with the Ji family? Woolen cloth? Suddenly he thought of something, but he didn't have time to ask any more questions. After all, he couldn't appear in his spiritual body now, and he was about to disappear. If he delayed any longer, he wouldn't even have to send her to the Ji family. Not here. A powerful force enveloped Yan Xianglou, and her figure disappeared instantly. As she left, Yan Xianglou didn't hear Master Shi's last sigh. Is this her mission? No wonder Tianqi Xinyuan is willing to pay such a high price. With a sigh, Master Shi completely disappeared from this world. With the complete disappearance of Master Shi, the power of the purple bamboo forest to prevent outsiders from entering also disappeared. Where Master Shi once lived, Only the thick purple bamboo forest remained, proving that Master Shi once existed here. The people outside have not noticed the changes in the purple bamboo forest and are still standing outside the purple bamboo forest. It wasn't until a person was squeezed and fell towards the purple bamboo forest that he fell in instead of being bounced back. Only then did everyone realize that the power of the purple bamboo forest that prevented them from entering had disappeared. Everyone swarmed in, and the weeds in the purple bamboo forest were trampled down in an instant. Xian saw the scene in front of him and wondered why Ruan Xianglue was so angry. What should he do after being exposed by everyone? With worry in his eyes, he quickly followed. After entering, they saw the empty space inside with nothing. Everyone was stunned. Someone shouted, "Where is the house where Master Shi lives? Where is the young man?" But it was useless to shout. No one knew where the young man had gone. Whether the house where Master Shi lived had long been gone or if it had just disappeared. Xian felt relieved when he saw that Xianxia was not worried. He looked at the Divine Doctor Mountain and knew that it was the first time that the Divine Doctor Mountain was so lively, and it was probably the last time. Except for the Zizu forest, everything about Master Shi has disappeared. As the years go by, it will slowly become a legend among people, and no one will come here to improve their alchemy talents. Because, this function is no longer available here. I'm afraid that before long, the name Divine Medical Mountain will also disappear and return to the original Qingyun Mountain. Although Xian didn't know what caused all this, it was definitely related to the fact that Yu Xianglue came to worship. Perhaps Master Shi's last inheritance is here. The inheritance is over, and there is no need to continue to exist here. I have to say that Xian is indeed very smart, and his guess is accurate. Watching everyone looking around to see if Master Shi had left any traces, someone finally realized that the young man who came in could not disappear out of thin air. Did he use a teleportation weapon to leave? Even so, there will be fluctuations in the void when using the teleportation magic weapon. There are many people here who are above the level, so it is impossible for them not to feel it at all. Xian glanced at them, did not move forward, turned around and left the purple bamboo forest, and then walked briskly down the mountain. He was going back to the town to see if Ruan Xianglue was back. If Ruan Xianglue wasn't there, he was going to go to the Ji family's land. As long as Yan Xianglue is fine, there is no need for him to stay. Moreover, his visit to Divine Doctor Mountain was not in vain. Although he did not help Yan Xianglue, he improved his alchemy talent. He would ask Yan Xianglue for some advice later and it would not be a problem to increase his alchemy level. Xian went down the mountain in a happy mood. At this time, Yan Xianglue still didn't know what happened at Divine Doctor Mountain because of her appearance. She was looking around in surprise. A desolate ruin. This is obviously an abandoned city. Could this be the Ji family's clan? And inside the clan? She had no idea that Master Shi would send her directly to the Ji family. Originally, she thought that Master Shi could just send her outside the Ji family. After all, outsiders from the Ji family were not allowed in. How could you come in by yourself? Is Master Shi too powerful? Yan Xianglue was extremely confused. She looked around, trying to find where Ji Zhozhong was. Judging by the time, Ji Zhozhong should have come in long ago. After looking around, her eyes fell on the deserted but intact building in the center. Why did the building there look like a palace? It is very tall and has a complete palace wall. Yan Xianglue let go of her spiritual consciousness to perceive the past. She was just trying to see how powerful her spiritual consciousness had become after absorbing the spiritual power of the mental power ball. In an instant, her consciousness easily covered the entire Ji family area. Except for the palace-like building in the center, which seemed to be blocked by something, she could sense other places very clearly. Even though the palace was isolated, there was no malicious attack. It simply blocked her consciousness and prevented her consciousness from detecting it. Yan Xiangluo's apricot eyes flashed for a moment, and she took a small sip of the cherry. The entire Ji family was in her consciousness. It was really in ruins. Only the palace building gave out a mysterious atmosphere. Yan Xiangluo understood clearly. It seemed that Ji Zhikong should be in that palace. She didn't know whether she accepted the inheritance or not. She walked towards the palace. It wasn't that she wanted to go, but there were restrictions here and she couldn't fly in the air. She didn't know if Ji Zhikong had to leave as well when he came in. The city is very big, and the layout of her location should be that of the inner city outside the palace. Although she can see the palace by looking up, the distance is not close, and it takes a long time to walk. The inner city is so big. If there was an outer city at that time, how big would this city be? Yu Xiangluo didn't even imagine it. The inner city is already in ruins, but the palace buildings are intact despite being deserted. Even the palace walls are intact, as if they are still maintaining their role of protecting the people inside. The inheritance of the Ji family should be in the imperial palace, and the imperial palace must be different from these ruined buildings. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 634. Yan Xiangluo stepped on the ruins and walked towards the palace step by step. Although they are all ruins and look desolate, they are not covered in heavy dust, as if they had just become ruins. She was curious about how it was kept like this. I don't know what kind of force destroyed the entire city at that time, and all the green plants in the city died. Yan Xiangluo didn't know the specific time when the Ji family was destroyed. Historical records seem to indicate that it was 30,000 years ago. Not a single green plant grew for such a long time, which was a bit abnormal. Even if other large plants are dead, the vitality of weeds is very tenacious. How can there be no grass at all? Yan Xiangluo mobilized her wood element power to check as she walked. The wood element power can detect whether there is life force. It was not until she walked to the location of the palace that she sensed a breath of life force, which came from the palace. Looking at the palace from a distance, I didn't realize how high it was. When I walked closer, I realized that the walls of the palace were more than 60 meters high. So how high is the taller palace inside from a distance? It's just that it is now blocked by the palace wall and the palace inside cannot be seen. Yan Xiangluo looked up at the tall and magnificent palace gate. She saw that it had been opened just before. Ji Zhikong should have opened it when he entered. At this time, the palace door was tightly closed, and Yan Xiangluo did not push the door open for fear of affecting Ji Zhikong's acceptance of the inheritance. Looking at the palace gate and then back at the ruins behind her, Yan Xiangluo wondered what she should do next. Master Shi helped me when I came in, but there was no one to help me when I went out. She knew that she couldn't get out without thinking about her own strength, so she could only wait for Ji Zhikong to come out and leave together. But she didn't know when Ji Zhikong would come out, and she couldn't stand here and wait. It was really a delay if she didn't explain clearly. She actually just wanted to go outside the Ji family and didn't want to come in. She really didn't expect that the last bit of power left by Master Shi was so strong. The most powerful person she has ever seen alive is Master Mu Changling. He has lived for more than 3,600 years, and he is now at the peak of Taoist cultivation. Only when one reaches the zone level can one gain 100 years of life, and only when one reaches the divine level can one have 500 years of life. Asked about the longevity of 4,000 years, Master Mu Changling is already more than 3,600 years old. If he cannot break through to the level of transcending tribulation, he will only have a lifespan of more than 300 years. It sounds long, but in fact in the life of a monk it is but a blink of an eye. Master Shi was at the peak of transcending tribulations and was already on the verge of ascension. At that time, his lifespan was 1,000 years longer than his master Mu Changling, so he had no choice but to fall into nothingness. Yan Xiangluo suddenly felt a little melancholy. She didn't know whether she could break through to the level. She didn't know what the last level of Pangu flower would be like. She didn't know how strong she would be. She had such a short lifespan, let alone being compared to Master Shi. Even he can't compare with his master. Hey, how sad. Why do you feel that the stronger you are, the weaker you are? Yan Xiangluo shook her head, no longer thinking about these things that made her feel bad. She thought about the recipe for the magic pill that Master Shi had penetrated into her consciousness and his experience in refining it. She should be more pragmatic. Yan Xiangluo stood in front of the palace gate, closed her eyes and remained alert outside with her mental energy, and then entered her spiritual consciousness. A small light group was suspended in her consciousness. Yan Xiangluo's mental power lightly touched the light group, and the light group dispersed in her consciousness. Lines of words were suspended in her consciousness. After Yan Xiangluo read it carefully, she admired Master Shi's alchemy talent even more, and at the same time, she was also filled with unexpected surprises. If she could refine the magic elixir, wouldn't it be possible to eliminate the demonic energy in Master Deng Chang's body? She wouldn't need to use the magic beads, and there would be no need to wait for Jizhou Hong to refine the demon-killing mysterious pattern. Master Shi has reached the final step of refining the magic elixir. To be precise, he has successfully refined the magic elixir. It's just that the magic elixir transforms demonic energy, and the amount of demonic energy in each person's body is difficult to detect and control. The power of the demon transforming pill cannot exceed the amount of demon energy to be transformed from the opponent's body. Although too much power can dispel the demonic energy, the remaining power will also cause great harm to the human body, and may even damage the danshan and affect cultivation. However, if the power is not enough, all the demonic energy cannot be eliminated. The remaining demonic energy will increase exponentially, making it easy for people to become demonized. Severe confrontation between spiritual energy and demonic energy will kill people. That's why the demon transformation pill is not known to the world. Yan Xiangluo's mind was immediately attracted by the study of the magic pill, and she became obsessed with studying the magic pill. Master Shi has already taken 99 steps on the magic pill. She only needs to take the last step, which has saved a lot of time. In a large area of ruins, in front of the deserted palace, a stunning girl in a red skirt standing quietly. She looks out of place no matter how you look at it, but there is a feeling that they complement each other. If anyone sees the scene in front of them at this time, they will definitely be shocked. It's a pity that this is the Ji family's clan. Not only can no outsiders come in, but no one can see what's going on inside. But this doesn't mean that no one saw her. At this time, a figure appeared on the ruins, floating directly in front of Yan Xiangluo, with snow-white robes fluttering, staring intently at the girl in red dress in front of the palace gate. Although Yan Xiangluo only had a trace of mental power left to guard outside, her current mental power was so powerful that she didn't even know what extent it had reached. Hence, she noticed this figure as soon as it appeared. This is not entirely because of her strong mental power. The main reason is that she has strong soul control power. The person opposite is actually a soul body, so Yan Xiangluo was able to detect his existence at the first time. Yan Xiangluo suddenly opened her eyes, and looked at the other person with a pair of beautiful eyes. When she saw the other person's appearance clearly, she was stunned. This person's appearance had some shadows of Jizhou Hong. To be precise, he was somewhat similar to Jizhou Hong. Yan Xiangluo immediately understood that this man in the soul body should be from the Ji family, and his blood was passed down from generation to generation. Although there were many generations apart, there were still similarities. "Are you from the Ji family?" Yan Xiangluo asked first. The man said somewhat unexpectedly, "Are you a heavenly master?" Only a heavenly master who has the power to control souls or has opened his heavenly eyes can see their soul bodies. Yan Xiangluo nodded, "That's right. The corner of the man's mouth twitched. What did he mean? Did she just become a heavenly master? G family is now used to describe our family. The man's tone was filled with undisguised shock, and if you look closely, you could see that he was feeling lonely. Yan Xiangluo's big eyes flickered a few times very quickly, and she asked in a weak tone, "How should I describe your family?" The man said with some surprise, "You don't know what kind of family our family is? Isn't there any record in the continental historical records?" The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 635. Yan Xiangluo shook his head. Historical records only record that your Ji family is a Xuanhuan family and possesses the most powerful Xuanhuan technique, Ji Seal. Later, the family was exterminated because someone coveted Ji Seal. The man was stunned for a moment when he heard this, then gritted his teeth and said, "They were so cruel that they actually wiped out the truth." Yan Xiangluo was extremely shocked. She seemed to have guessed something, but she couldn't believe it. How many years of history are recorded in mainland historical records? The man asked again after calming down. Yan Xiangluo said matter-of-factly, a little more than 30,000 years. The extra bit was all about the 9 heavens, which she didn't say. She has realized that the truth behind the demise of the Ji family is not simple. It's not just because the Xuanhuan technique is powerful. The man sneered, "They did it cruelly. They were trying to cover up the facts, just like they were covering up the sins they had committed." Yu Xiangluo's heart sank. Today she learned from Master Shi that the Tianmen at the end of the 9 heavens road has disappeared. This is the real reason why no one has ascended in the mainland for nearly 30,000 years. There is no record of this in the historical records of the mainland. Now what the spiritual man from the Ji family said made her know that the truth of many things in the higher continent has been covered up. What is recorded in the historical records is not true. The truth of many things is unknown. It was deliberately covered up. But what surprised her was, who has such a strong ability to cover up the well-known truth? After all, changing the records in historical records cannot change the memory of the entire mainland people. Even if written records are not allowed, word of mouth will not completely forget the truth of the matter. But now the entire mainland people have only one memory of the Ji family, that is, they cannot mention it. As we all know, the Ji family was coveted because of the powerful Xuanhuan technique and was exterminated. It seems that your Ji family was once very extraordinary, not just a family with powerful Xuanhuan techniques, Yan Xiangluo continued. The man was obviously in a bad mood. After listening to Yu Xiangluo's words, he said, "Since you can come in here, it means that you are destined to be a member of our Ji family. You should also understand what kind of family our family is. You have something in your body, what a burden." Yan Xiangluo quickly waved her hand, "It's purely an accident that I came in. I don't have the blood of your family, and I'm not from your Ji family." She already had enough burdens on her, and she was wondering why she was so destined to the soul body. Wherever she goes, she can see soul bodies that have lived for tens of thousands of years. Each soul body will tell her how heavy the burden is. She is just a little girl. She wants to live an ordinary and quiet life. There is nothing to save the world. She has lofty ambitions, but don't let everyone fool her into taking the road of being a gentleman and becoming a powerful person. She wants to become a powerful person, but her purpose is just to go to the 9 heavens. She doesn't care about family grudges or the life and death of the people on the mainland." The man was stunned for a moment, and then raised the corners of his lips. "Has my family fallen to the point of being so despised by others?" Yan Xiangluo quickly explained, "That's not the case. In the eyes of the world, your family has been exterminated. They covet your family's Xuanhuan Kung Fu very much. People who mention your family hate and fear it." The man smiled and said, "You are quite cute. You are worthy of being a member of our Ji family." The corner of Yan Xiangluo's mouth twitched. Does this person not understand? His surname is Yuan, not Ji, and he is not from the Ji family. Why is he still saying that he is from their family? The man saw Yan Xiangluo's frown and said teasingly, "Not everyone in our family has the blood of our family." After hearing what he said, Yan Xiangluo immediately understood what he meant, and her face turned red. It turns out that he meant that he would marry into their family, and therefore, he would be counted as a member of their family. At least I'm not one now. I'll have to take a walk to see if I can be one in the future, Yan Xiangluo said calmly, holding back her shame. The man laughed heartily. She is an interesting girl. No wonder the boy inside cares about you so much. Yan Xiangluo was stunned. How did he know that Ji Zhozhong cared about him? Could it be that they used themselves to threaten Ji Zhozhong? Stop thinking about it. That kid won't be able to get out for a while. Since you are his destined partner, you also have the right to know everything about the family. Come over here and I will take you around and tell you about our family. Yan Xiangluo wanted to refuse. Even if she wanted to listen, she still wanted to hear what Ji Zhozhong said. In her heart, she only believed in Ji Zhozhong's words. But his strength did not allow it. Although the man did not force her to go over, he did it directly. As soon as he raised his hand, Yan Xiangluo was pulled to the man by a force. She looked at the man warily. The man glanced at her and said, "Although your soul control power is very strong, with your current ability you cannot control a soul body as powerful as mine. I won't hurt you. You don't have to be so guarded against me. You can enter here now if you don't want to go. Come with me and I will take you to a place first." Yan Xiangluo looked at the soul body floating in front of him, and the corners of her mouth twitched again. What was going on? Why were all the soul bodies she met so unique? "Let's go, you can't beat them if you don't go." She is very self-aware. Even though she could hide in Pangu space, they didn't do anything to her, and she wouldn't expose her possession of Pangu space to a soul body, even if the other person was a member of the Ji family. No, it was the soul of the Ji family. Yan Xiangluo followed her resignedly. She also wanted to know where this man wanted to take her. If you want to understand the Ji family in the past, can you just say no? Why go to another place? Is there any other place in this large ruins worth visiting? The doubts in Yan Xiangluo's heart were quickly cleared up. The man took him around the palace to the south, which was not far nor close to the palace. According to the layout of the city, this place should be in the inner city. They were standing in front of a gate called Ji Yuan. The man looked up at the gate of Ji Garden and didn't move for a while. Yan Xiangluo didn't dare to move either, so she could only stand behind him and wait. A while passed, and the man still kept his head raised, but at least he spoke. "This is the ancestral temple of the Ji family, where the ancestors of the Ji family are enshrined." Yan Xiangluo was stunned. Not everyone can use the word ancestral temple, only the royal family can use it. Could it be that there were royal families in the higher continent before? The Ji family used to be a royal family. Is her guess just now true? Come in. The man did not expect Yan Xiangluo to agree with anything. He raised his hand and the door of Ji Garden was opened. The man floated in first. Yan Xiangluo had no choice but to follow him in. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 636. Yan Xiangluo walked into Ji Yuan and the door behind her was closed. She looked back at the closed door and knew that she had no choice but to follow the man and continue inside. Ji Yuan is also deserted, without a trace of green, but all the buildings are still intact. As soon as you enter, you will see a huge screen wall with dragons and phoenixes carved on it. You will feel a sense of oppression at a glance. People who are not mentally strong enough will immediately be oppressed and lower their heads. Going around the screen wall, a spacious courtyard appears in front of you. Except for the gate, the other three sides are filled with houses. Although it looks a bit desolate now, the style of the buildings can tell how luxurious this place used to be. The man led her through the room directly in front, and a tall screen appeared in front of her. In front of the screen was a wooden platform with 9 steps. A large chair was placed on the platform. The carved patterns were very complicated. The tables and chairs on both sides were also engraved with patterns, and the patterns on each chair were different. This was the first time she had seen such a decoration. The chairs in the same room were actually engraved differently. The most important thing is that there is not a trace of dust in the house, nor on the furniture, as if the owner is still using it and cleaning it every day. Xianxia just glanced at it a few times on the way without taking a closer look. Behind the screen is a door. When you open the door, a wide road paved with white jade that extends slowly upward appears in front of you. The road is not too big, but it is very long. If you walk all the way, there will be a big height difference between the end of the road and the current location. She could only see the road now but not what was at the end. The two of them came out of the house and walked to the platform under the eaves of the outer veranda. The man walked to the side, looked at her from the side and said, "You take the middle road." Xianxia took a look and saw that there was a carved pattern in the middle of the white jade road. It was more than enough for 2 people to walk side by side. This carved pattern divided the entire road into 3 parts. There were no carved patterns on either side. There are no steps in the middle, but they are carved with complicated patterns. She shook her head in disgust and said, "I won't walk, it's too painful for my feet." The man felt that a large flock of crows were flying above his head. In the past, any woman who had the opportunity to walk on this road would feel it was a great honor, and her family would reach the sky in 1 step. The G family never imagined that one day this road would be rejected by a teenage girl. "Don't be offended yet. I'm not sure whether you can leave," the man said in a somewhat unswerving tone. Xianxia glanced at the man who was obviously unhappy because he disliked the road and his feet. Then he looked at the road with carved patterns and said in sudden realization, "Isn't this a test or something?" The man's mouth twitched sharply. "That's right." Xianxia immediately shook her head like a rattle. "Then let's avoid it." "You are a smart little girl, don't you know what this road is testing?" the man said in a serious tone. Xianxia sighed, "It's precisely because I guessed it that I don't want to leave." How could she not know what she wanted to test on this road? Although the man didn't say clearly what kind of family the G family was before, but when all of this is in front of him, is there any need to say it? Once, it was precisely because he knew that she didn't want to leave. "Why?" the man asked doubtfully. "When I met Ji Juzhong, he was from the royal family. Our engagement was purely accidental. Later, I automatically broke off the engagement. But later we got to know each other, liked each other, experienced a lot together, and came to the higher continent together, so I agreed again. I accept his proposal and resume the relationship as an unmarried couple. I have high requirements for love, but this request will never take into account his status and wealth. Therefore, I will not accept this test of your family. Whether we can be together depends on us. There will be no other factors in the relationship between them." Xianxia said this very seriously. The man was obviously shocked after hearing what he said. In his understanding, women are men's accessories, and women are proud of their husbands. This is an eternal truth. Now, tens of thousands of years after he became a soul, the first little girl he met on the G family's territory actually told him that status and power were not among her requirements for her future husband, but only about feelings. Is she stupid? Are there any feelings in this world that can abandon everything? Feelings are the most unstable emotions. Do all the women outside think the same way as you? The man asked doubtfully. Could it be that 30,000 years have passed and the status of women outside has changed? Yan Xianglego shook her head. I don't have many friends. I don't understand. I am different from the women in the lower continent. I have only been in the higher continent for a few months and I still don't know what the women in the higher continent are like. The man understood, so he just said, there won't be any big changes. He looked her over and said, I guess you are also an outlier among high-class mainland women. Yan Xianglego agreed, absolutely. After all, not everyone has the opportunity to let their soul live in a different world and receive different ideological education. If she is not an alternative, she will not be able to afford the opportunity for the extraordinary experience that her mother gave her. You'd better walk. I don't care about your thoughts. I only care about whether you can take this path, the man insisted. Yan Xianglego looked at the carved road and wondered, if she refused again, would this man force her to go? How sure are you that you will refuse? Seeing her lowering her head and saying nothing, the man added, if you don't leave, I won't force you, but you have to know that sooner or later you will leave, as long as you want to be with him. Yan Xianglego knew that what the man said was true. The relationship between her and Xuanhuan was not as simple as she said. It could really be judged based on emotion, but it was based on emotion. Other factors also had to be considered. Putting aside the former status of the Ji family, Xuanhuan herself is destined to be extraordinary, and her own experience is destined to not lead an ordinary life. If the two of them want to stay together for a long time, they must take into account other factors around each other, and Xuanhuan has already reflected these other factors. At the moment, doesn't she need to accompany him to face the experience? She doesn't care whether she can take this path, but at this time Xuanhuan is accepting the inheritance of the Ji family, and she will not cause any trouble to Xuanhuan because of such a trivial matter. If the man forced her to take this path, she might resist, but after he said this, she was not opposed to taking this path. On the contrary, I was still a little curious. Yan Xianglego looked up along the road. The soul-controlling power in her body started to operate automatically. A solemn scene suddenly appeared in front of her eyes. The location was right here. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 637. Many people, all gorgeously dressed and wealthy, and with high levels of cultivation, were walking on both sides of the carving road with their heads bowed respectfully. On the carving road, a man and a woman were walking hand in hand at the front. Their clothes looked more like low-level people. The dress of the mainland royal empress is only higher and higher. Because they were all looking at her, she couldn't see anyone's face. Hundreds of birds were flying in the sky on both sides, and there were colorful auspicious clouds in the sky. There was a thin layer of clouds and mist under everyone's feet, just like a fairy palace, which was completely opposite to the scene at this time. The scene in front of her disappeared in just a moment. Yan Xianglego knew that she had seen the scene here. She was extremely shocked. Could it be that there really was a royal family in the higher continent, or a royal family, and this royal family was the Ji family? If this is the case, the meaning of the man asking her to walk on this carved road will be different. Does Xuanhuan also need to take this road? Yan Xianglego turned to look at the man and asked. What she was thinking was, Xuanhuan is the only one left in your family. What's the point of this rule? Do you have any choice? Of course, Xuanhuan is the only one left. She refers to the Ji family members who can come to the higher continent. There are other Ji family members in Tianqian continent. Not to mention those who cannot come to the higher continent, their number is not very large. He has already walked through it. Only after being recognized by this path can he accept the inheritance of the Ji family, the man said matter-of-factly. You brought him here too? Yan Xianglego asked curiously. The man shook his head. He can't see me, he came by himself. Yan Xianglego raised his eyebrows, and it became clear that he was able to see the man because he was a heavenly master and had the power to control souls. Although Ji Zhong couldn't see the man, he had the blood of the Ji family. He would be guided by the blood when he came in. Where to go first and where to go later should be guided by the blood. Not everyone can take this road. Even if we have the blood of our family, there is only one person in each generation who can take this road, and it is a man. The other person who can take this road is his wife, the man said in a somewhat audible tone. The way of nostalgia. Yan Xianglou glanced at the man, knowing that the only man who could leave must be a king or an emperor. I'm a little curious. She didn't say this in a perfunctory way, she was really curious about what power this road had to find the king. The man knew that what Yan Xianglou said meant that she wanted to take this path, so his tone was much softer. If you can take this path, you will have unexpected gains. Women who can take this path will gain the most. It's different, good luck to you. Yan Xianglou didn't care what the man said was the harvest. At this time, she was eager to understand what kind of existence the Ji family was. She stepped forward without saying a word. The man stared closely at her stepping foot. Yan Xianglou stepped firmly on the carved patterned road. He lowered his head and looked at it, then stepped on it hard, and said doubtfully, "Hey, why doesn't it hurt my feet?" The man's eyes were filled with surprise when he saw that he could walk this way. After hearing her words, his face suddenly became filled with black lines. What she focused on was whether this road was comfortable for her feet, not that she could walk on this road. The harvest to come. She is indeed a different kind of woman. Yan Xianglou just sighed. Seeing that she could walk this way, she no longer hesitated and walked forward briskly. The man followed her on the next step. Yan Xianglou noticed that when she was able to walk this road, the man was one step behind her. He no longer walked in front of her, and he never even walked parallel to her. He was exactly one step behind her. After walking for a while, we came to a platform. The carved patterns were still there, and there were steps extending upward in front. Yan Xianglou looked back at the steps she walked. If she remembered correctly, it should be 99 steps. Then she looked at the length of the steps in front of her. The distance should be the same as the length of the steps below her, so the number of steps should also be the same. Could it be? Is there a platform every 99th level? Yan Xianglou continued to walk up. Sure enough, after walking 99 steps, another platform appeared. She turned to the man and said, "There can't be 10 such platforms, right?" The man asked doubtfully, "Why do you think there are 10? Ruan Xianglou said, "Families like yours generally respect 9. Each platform has 99 levels, and 10 means 990. After this platform, there should be a more formal platform. There are 9 steps, so there are 999 steps in total, which is more in line with your rules." The man nodded appreciatively. "It seems that you have already guessed what our family is like without me having to tell you. It's a pity that we have been defeated so much now." Yan Xianglou shrugged and said regretfully. Seeing that she sincerely felt sorry for their family instead of mocking her, the man said, "Ups and downs are an unavoidable fate for every family. Our family has been lonely for too long. We hope we can take off again this time." Yan Xianglou's mouth twitched. Just Ji Zhong. How confident are they in the strength of their own family? No matter how smart, talented, or powerful Ji Zhong is, he cannot unify the entire continent and establish a dynasty with one person, right? It would be okay if people on the entire continent still remember their family, but the key point is that people on the entire continent never think that they once had a king to rule. He is not alone, the man said with an unclear tone. However, Yan Xianglou understood that the Ji Zhong the man mentioned was not a person, and definitely did not mean that there was another person. Yan Xianglou was sensible and did not ask any more questions and continued to walk up. 199 level and then another 99 level, until 8 were passed, and only the last one was left. Yan Xianglou did not get any of the benefits the man said. She rolled her eyes at the man and said, "Fortunately, I didn't take your words seriously. The man was startled. Everything I said was true, and not a single word of it deceived you. Which sentence of mine are you referring to that you didn't take seriously? Yan Xianglou said, that's what you said about me taking this path and having unexpected gains. The man was startled. We haven't finished walking yet, how do you know there are no unexpected gains? Yan Xianglou looked at the front and said, isn't this going to be over soon? Only when you finish walking can you gain something. The man then understood that Yan Xianglou had misunderstood and explained. Yan Xianglou's eyes suddenly lit up and her steps quickened. The man looked at her increasingly relaxed steps, his eyes were shocked, and the corners of his mouth curved in pleasure. It seemed that the G family was really going to rise again. What he didn't say was that even the women who were able to embark on this path during the heyday of the G family, no one could make it to the end, still in such a relaxed state. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 638. The woman who had been fortunate to have walked through this road before, only reached the highest position to the 799th stage stone platform. Her gain has shocked the entire continent. At that time, although the woman reached the 799 stone platform, her walking was very difficult. It could be said that her mental power was exhausted to the limit, and her spiritual power was almost exhausted. Yan Xianglou has already walked the last 99 steps. Not only is there no difficulty at all, but on the contrary, it is getting easier and easier as he goes. He knows what this indicates. Thinking that Ji Zhikong had walked this road very calmly and easily before, the man once again confirmed that Yuan Xianglou was the next mistress confirmed by their ancestors of the Ji family. The man watched Yan Xianglou step on the 9th platform. If it weren't for his soul body, his heart would definitely beat with excitement. It's a pity that he is in a soul body now. Although he has emotions, he has no body to reflect his excited mood. However, I was still shocked at how strong her mental power was. I haven't seen any discomfort from her until now, as if she was just visiting the mountains and rivers. He knew that Yan Xianglou's mental power was very strong, and she had absorbed the mental power from the mental power ball left by Master Shi. She didn't even know what the limit of her mental power was. Yan Xianglou stood on the platform and looked forward, back, left, and right. Where was the promised harvest? Why doesn't she feel anything at all? She turned to look at the man, spread her hands and asked, is it because I haven't been recognized? Why don't I feel anything at all? What's the gain you mentioned? Hearing this, the man said in surprise, don't worry, this is a good thing. If you haven't gained anything yet, it means you can continue. Hearing this, Yan Xianglou looked in front of her. A huge palace stood in front of it. There was a platform surrounded by white stone railings around the palace, facing her direction, and there were 9 steps in front. Is it possible to gain something by walking up those 9 steps? Why doesn't she believe this man's words now? After Yan Xianglou learned how to be plotted by the clone of Cheng Kun, her attendant in her previous life, in her last dream, she never really believed in the man in front of her who had the same powerful soul body. Being plotted once was enough. She didn't want to be plotted again. You must know that being plotted by such a powerful person, no, the soul body, death is a luxury, and it is very likely that her soul will fly away. Are you sure I can gain something by walking up the last 9 steps? Yan Xianglou asked doubtfully. The man shook his head, that's not necessarily true. If your talent is strong enough and you can enter inside, then you have to go in to get your harvest. Yan Xianglou glanced at the closed door of the huge palace. What's in there? I was thinking that there wouldn't be tablets enshrining the Ji family's ancestors there. The man said, there are tablets of our family's ancestors enshrined inside, but there is only one person from each generation who can go in to worship. Only this person and his wife can go in, and I have never gone in. Yan Xianglou was speechless. She had guessed it right. From the way she looked at people, the man was not lying. But the more this happened, the more she felt she should be careful. I think you are just fooling me. This is true. He has not even gone in yet, so he keeps fooling her to move forward. Now he wants to trick her into going in. How does she know if there is any danger inside? Don't tempt her with the promise of gain, she won't be fooled by that. Xianxia turned around and sat down on the steps, looking at the long road walking below. Looking down like this, she realized how big the height difference was. Even sitting on the steps here, she could see the outside of Xuanhuan, the surrounding ruins and the imperial palace in the distance. Xianxia's eyes fell on the palace. She wondered how Xuanhuan was doing accepting the inheritance. When will it end? The man saw that she did not leave, but sat down and asked doubtfully, "Are you tired?" But I thought in my heart that it shouldn't be. Seeing how relaxed she was when she walked up, it didn't look like she was tired. Xianxia didn't even look at him. Why is this road so tiring for a monk? The man choked. Did she think that a monk could walk on this road? He could say that every woman who had taken this road before had been exhausted and exhausted her spiritual energy. Even so, no one had been able to reach the 9th floor platform like her. Then why don't you leave? The man asked, looking at the 9 steps behind him. As long as she walks up the 9 steps, she can enter the main hall, and she will know what opportunity she will finally get. I don't want to be fooled by you anymore, Xianxia said unhappily. The man was speechless. Did he lie to her? Everything he said was true. He has existed in a soul body for more than 30,000 years. He has not communicated with anyone for so long, and he has no intention of joking with others. Why does this girl think he is fooling her? Everything I said is true, I didn't lie to you. The man's tone was helpless. Xianxia insisted, I don't believe it. The man sighed and compromised, what will it take for you to believe me? Xianxia rolled her eyes at him and said, let Xuanhuan tell me. The man was stunned and said, then you have to wait. He doesn't know how long it will take to come out. The G family's inheritance is also divided into levels of talent. The better the talent, the longer it takes to accept, and naturally, the greater the harvest. He naturally hopes that Xuanhuan, the only member of the G family who is still alive, can accept it as long as possible. Xianxia's apricot eyes flashed slyly. She just wanted to know how long it would take for Xuanhuan to accept the inheritance. However, the man's words are the same as what he said. He still doesn't know when he will receive the inheritance. Then let's wait until he comes out. Xianxia really didn't want to go in by herself. She thought the man would object, but she didn't expect that the man just thought about it and actually agreed. Then she really wanted to wait until Xuanhuan came. That's fine, he didn't go in anyway. If you go in together, you might gain more. Xianxia glanced at the man in surprise, thinking to herself that it seemed that Xuanhuan had not gone in before, so her decision not to go in was still right. She turned her head and looked up at the man and waved to him, come here, sit down, and talk. Don't you want to tell me about your family's past? The man looked at her fair and slender hands, a look of helplessness flashed in his eyes. Standing and sitting were just the same posture for his soul body. There was no difference for his soul body. Their soul bodies cannot touch anything at all. However, this girl is indeed different from ordinary women, and it seems that he cannot treat her like ordinary women. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 639. The man obeyed Xianxia's words and sat down on the side of the steps. In fact, he was floating on the steps and looked like he was sitting on it. The two of them were separated by the road carved with complicated patterns. It's a good idea to talk to you at this time. You should understand it first so that you won't be confused when he comes out. Yan Xianglou knew that he would have a lot to say. Don't worry about it now, Zhang needs a lot of time. I have plenty of time to get to know your family. Now I am more curious about how you have existed in a soul body for more than 30,000 years. After a person dies, his soul and body will immediately go to the underworld, and his destination will be determined according to his merits and sins. But this man has been here for more than 30,000 years. How can he still have such strong soul power? She is a heavenly master and has the power to control souls, but she didn't see the reason from the man's soul body. With her current level of cultivation, she still doesn't know how to make the soul body exist in the world for such a long time. At this time, Yan Xianglou realized that Tianxi and his party still had a long way to go. The man paused after hearing this and pointed to the main hall behind him. I can't answer this question for you now. You will know when you enter. Yan Xianglou curled her lips and said, I rely on everyone to support me, but I am the most reliable. I prefer to find the reasons myself. The man suddenly felt like he was being plotted. How do you want to find out the reason? Yan Xianglou pointed at him and said, let me use the power of soul control to check your soul body, and I will know the reason. The man was stunned. Indeed, powerful celestial masters in their time could indeed use the power of soul control to detect powerful souls like him. But she is only a teenager. Even if the celestial master is very talented, it is impossible for her to have strong celestial master cultivation and strength. If she is asked to check her soul body, I am afraid she will not be able to find anything, and maybe it will happen again. Injured by his own soul power. Besides, the soul body is not willing to be inspected at will. The power of controlling the soul is not friendly to the soul body. No, it's too dangerous and will hurt you. The man refused immediately. He was not worried that Yan Xianglou's soul controlling power would hurt him. After all, he felt that Yan Xianglou's soul controlling power would not be very strong and would not be able to harm a soul as powerful as his. If a heavenly master can subdue the soul body, what kind of hierarchy does a heavenly master need? Yan Xianglou said confidently, it will never hurt me. Just tell me whether you agree or not. Her mental power is so strong that she has nowhere to use it, and her soul controlling power has not been used at all opportunities so far. She can still ensure that she is not injured. The man was helpless. I really didn't lie to you. The fact that I can exist in the state of soul body for more than 30,000 years means that my soul power is very strong. Your current level of heavenly master is not high enough, and the strength of heavenly master is not high enough. It's not strong enough. If you force yourself to look at it, my soul will be counterattacked. Yan Xianglou shook her head. Thank you for the reminder, but I know better and will not check your soul body at the cost of hurting myself. I am curious as to why you have been able to exist in the state of your soul body for so long. If I can check, it's good if you find it, but I won't force you if you can't find it. The man stared at her for a long time, and seeing her persistence, he said, okay, then you come and try it. He could only try his best to control his soul power so as not to hurt her. With the man's consent, Yan Xianglou immediately released her soul controlling power, slowly wrapping the man's soul body while exerting her own mental power on it. The man didn't resist. When Yan Xianglou's soul controlling power enveloped him, he was suddenly startled. What did it feel like? What a familiar feeling. Usually, the soul controlling power of the celestial master will make the soul body feel uncomfortable and have a natural feeling of rejection. This is also the main reason why the celestial master will be counterattacked by the soul power of the soul body. If he feels uncomfortable, he will naturally resistance is an instinct that sometimes cannot be controlled at all. A strong heavenly master can control things better and make the soul body less uncomfortable. Originally, he was ready to control his resistance, but after Yan Xianglou's soul controlling power enveloped his soul body, he felt unexpectedly comfortable. with a familiar warm feeling that he had not seen for a long time. This warm feeling has never been felt since he lost his body and became a soul body. It was so comfortable that he thought he was alive and had a body. There is still some resistance there, but I want to get close to her soul-controlling power. The man turned his head and looked at Yan Xiangluo. Although there was a distance, he could still see her expression clearly. Seeing that her eyes were clear, her brows furrowed and then relaxed as she thought, obviously she was seriously investigating why his soul body could exist for so long. The man sighed again, no wonder he could win the boy's heart. This girl was so outstanding. If she couldn't win his heart now, then he would be alone for the rest of his life. Yan Xiangluo didn't know the man's thoughts, and she was thinking about it at this time. She knew that the image of the spiritual consciousness could exist for a long, long time, but this was the first time she had seen that the soul body could exist for such a long time. Now that she has the opportunity to see the reason for herself, she is naturally happy and serious. After the power of soul control enveloped the man's soul body, he carefully examined it. His mental power was always ready to resist the backlash from the soul body. But she didn't sense the counter-attack power of the soul body at all. Yan Xiangluo was puzzled as to why this man's soul body was so special. She found out that the man's soul was extremely clean. After 30,000 years of baptism, it was not muddy at all, but even purer. It is different from the ordinary soul body which becomes muddier the longer it stays in the world. Yan Xiangluo was careful not to miss a trace of the man's soul power, and finally she found the reason. She looked at the man in astonishment. The man was stunned when he saw her gaze. Have you found the reason? The man's eyes were full of disbelief. She was only 16 years old, and it had only been 16 years since she started practicing the cultivation of a heavenly master from her mother's womb, not to mention that it was impossible. Any kind of cultivation method in this world can be started at a very young age, except for celestial masters. Because of the special nature of the heavenly master, even if you have soul power after awakening your spiritual roots, you usually have to start practicing after the age of 10. You are too young to bear the consequences of using soul power. And if a girl wants to become a heavenly master, she must cultivate at an older age. Because girls themselves are yin, the power of soul control is all in contact with human souls. If it is a living person, it is fine, but if it is a soul body, the girl may not be able to bear it. That requires people with great merit to bear it. This is why people who become heavenly masters must have good character and continue to do good deeds and accumulate merit. Those powerful heavenly masters have done good deeds that accumulated great merit. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 640. Yan Xiangluo was only 16 years old and had been practicing the power of soul control for several years. That was why he was so shocked that Yan Xiangluo had such strong power of soul control and could actually find out that he could exist in a soul body for more than 30,000 years. Reason. And the whole process has not been backfired by his soul power. Yan Xiangluo nodded, withdrew the power of soul control and mental power, and said with complicated eyes, "Are you willing?" The man nodded. Yan Xiangluo asked again, "For what?" "Someone has to make sacrifices. I can't repay what my family has given me. This is what I can do for my family." The man's eyes were wandering as he looked at the ruins in the distance. At this time, he was probably reminded of the glory days of his family. Both of them were silent. Yan Xiangluo was shocked by the sense of family for the first time. What kind of family was the Ji family in the past? Can make a man willing to pay such a high price for his family. The reason why a man's soul body can exist for more than 30,000 years and still be so powerful is because his soul body has the blessings of more than 30 powerful gods. It seems to be glory, but the price is that he will never have a future. He will exist in the state of a soul body until the soul power completely disappears, and he also completely disappears. Being willing to pay such a high price for the family, and having such a strong sense of family belonging, is it really the cohesion that a family like the royal family can possess? She was even more shocked that the man had more than 30 blessings from gods. Yan Xianglou also has the blessing of God, which was given to her by the master of Junzi sword and master Shi. She still doesn't know what magical power the blessing of God has given to her, but she does know how powerful the blessing of God is from more than 30 powerful men in the man's soul. More than 30 powerful men gave him God's blessing that his soul will never die and his soul power will never fade away. Yan Xianglou didn't know if such a powerful blessing from God would really realize the eternal soul and eternal soul power. However, the man's soul body has existed for more than 30,000 years, and the soul power is still so powerful. This shows that God's the power of blessing is indeed very strong. Perhaps it is because so many people have blessed him with the same thing, so the power is so strong. She also has the blessings of two powerful gods, but she doesn't know whether the blessings they gave her will really come true. Tell me the story of your family. Yan Xianglou looked back at the man and looked in the direction of the palace. The man followed her gaze and said, "Story? That's right. For people nowadays, our family is indeed just a story." The man's soul is vividly alive, as if the white robe really exists, dancing in the wind. The Ninefold continent was ruled by kings 30,000 years ago. The man's voice was a little vague, as if he was about to tell the story of the Ji family slowly. "Is Xuanhuan continent the name of this continent?" Yan Xianglou asked. She interrupted the other person as soon as she started speaking, which seemed a bit rude, but she was really curious. Everyone called this continent the High Continent. No one mentioned the Ninefold continent, and there was no such thing even in the historical records of the mainland. Record? So no matter how rude Xianglou asked, she asked her doubts. The man raised his eyebrows and looked at her. "Isn't the mainland called Xuanhuan continent now?" Yan Xianglou said, "People here now call the mainland the higher continent. No one mentioned that this continent was once called Xuanhuan. Even the historical records of the mainland do not have such a record. This is the first time I have heard this name." The man sighed with an expression on his face. "What they did is quite extreme. They want to completely wipe out everything in the past on the mainland." Yan Xianglou is very curious. Who are they in his mouth? Can such a powerful Ji family be destroyed? It seems I have to tell this story again. The man's tone was filled with helplessness. Yan Xianglou's expression also became serious. If the history of the continent has been wiped out, how long can this seemingly peaceful continent be stable? Xuanhuan is the name of the continent, and it is just one of many advanced continents the man was going to start from the beginning of the existence of the continent. Yan Xianglou opened her mouth in surprise. It turns out that there are many higher continents. She silently raised her chin and closed her mouth. The man's originally lonely mood was amused by her action. What a lovely little girl. The formation of any continent is related to Xianxia, just like there are countless lower continents under the high continent, there are countless higher continents like Xuanhuan continent under Xianxia. Yuan Xianglou was just like listening to a story. Listening to the man tell about the origin of the Xuanhuan continent and the historical changes of the continent was also the origin and development history of the higher continent. How the higher continent appeared, no one knows. They only know that it has something to do with Xianxia. Continents were given names as soon as they appeared. As for the meaning of the name, no one knows. The explanations circulated in the world are just people's guesses. When the Ninefold continent appeared, there were all kinds of people in various parts of the continent. I don't know where these people came from. Some practiced spiritual power and some practiced demonic energy. At the beginning, there were fewer people and fewer conflicts. It was also the most peaceful place in the continent. When? It has been like this for probably more than 10,000 years. As the number of humans increased, various problems began to arise. Countless forces were born in this way, and no one was convinced by the other, and there were countless battles, large and small. Today a force has risen, which also means that a force has been destroyed. And people who practice spiritual power and magic power gradually have differences and rejections. Those who practice spiritual power think that they are superior to those who practice demonic energy, and the conflicts become more and more intense. Having lived like this for more than 10,000 years, they have discovered that there is no end to this struggle. If you want to stand on the top of the continent, you must have stronger strength. As a result, the weak began to take refuge in the strong, and countless small forces formed a big force. The disputes between the big forces turned from previous battles into wars. No matter which continent, war is cruel, especially for ordinary people who cannot cultivate. The people are in dire straits, and there is no place to live in the entire continent. This situation lasted for tens of thousands of years, and several major forces finally came to the fore in large and small wars. At this time, the major forces were dominated by families. The G family is one of them. Everyone knows that in the end, which family wins, and that family is the ruler of this continent. In the end, your family became the rulers of the mainland, Xianxia suddenly asked with her big watery eyes flashing. The man shook his head, no. Xianxia looked at the palace in the distance in surprise. What does this palace mean?